If your Performance Max campaign is not working, these are the 3 reasons for why you're not seeing the sales and conversions that your business needs with your Performance Max campaigns. And straight away, let's get started with the biggest one. And this is that you started your Performance Max campaign too early when you didn't have enough conversion data in your Google Ads account. Now, let me explain why this is such a big issue and why you need to hold off on starting a new Performance Max campaign until you have the exact amount of conversions that you need to see success with Performance Max. Now, very soon, I will be letting you know the exact number of conversions you need before you enable that next Performance Max campaign. But let me first explain why this is so important. Google has made no secret at all that the core driver when they designed the architecture for how the Performance Max campaigns would work is that they are a campaign that goes out and seeks and finds new conversions for your business. But in order for that to happen, Google needs to have a blueprint or a customer persona of the type of people that convert in your Google Ads campaign. So what happens is that Google first looks at the audiences and the demographics, the searches, when they occur, what the user's online behavior is, and it then creates a persona, and then from there it starts to target similar audiences. So it first reaches out to people with a little bit of further change, and then further and further and further out, then going into different areas where it starts to see more and more conversions. And if you're wondering where Google gets this data from, if you do a search for My Ad Center, what you will see is you will see the demographics and the web behavior patterns that Google has for you and your web browser history. And that's the information that Google is building out, and what it's doing is it's putting together all of that information so that it can then target users who are more likely to convert within your Google Ads campaign. And that's why it's highly important that you need a good portfolio of conversions in your Google Ads account before you start Performance Max so that you can get results in the fastest way possible. Now, I've run tests in my own Google Ads account with my own budget and with my own brand, because I didn't want to do this test with one of my clients' budgets. And what I did is I set up a new Google Ads account that didn't have any other campaigns running in it. And this is also for a new business, so we didn't have any information on the keywords or the audiences that convert best. This was from scratch, 100% brand new. And what happened with the Performance Max campaign gives a perfect example of how these campaigns work. In the first month, we spent over $2,600 for one conversion. Then in the second month, we did get 21 conversions, and that cost us just over $2,000. And then in the third month, we got 40 conversions, and our spend went up to $2,800. All this time, I had a budget set at $3,000 a month or $100 a day. And then this is where it gets interesting. In the fourth month, that was the first month that we spent the full budget of $3,000, and we got 106 conversions. So in month 1, we got 1 conversion, month 2, it went to 20, month 3 went to 40, and then month 4, it went to 106, and then month 5, 6, and 7, it was above 140 conversions every single month. So yes, Google did work it out, but what happened was it took a 90-day window and an investment of $7,500 before we even started to break even. Now that campaign is very, very profitable now, but it did take some time for it to launch. And what you can see there is that the more conversion data that Google got, it was able to then generate more and more and more conversions. So that example shows you why it is so important that a better way of going about starting a Performance Max campaign is to firstly start with a search or shopping campaign, or a combination of both if you're an e-commerce brand. Obviously, if you're a service-based brand, you would just focus on search, and then you add in a Performance Max campaign. Now, the ideal sweet spot for adding in a Performance Max campaign, remember how I promised I would give you the exact number, is that you want to be seeing 30 conversions in 30 days. So at least 1 conversion a day. And then when it comes to your budgeting, what you want to be doing is that you want to be making sure that you can maintain those 30 conversions over 30 days. So what you need to do is your budget needs to be set at the cost per acquisition for each individual conversion. If your cost per conversion is $10, your budget needs to be $10 a day, so $300 a month. But if your cost per conversion is $20, your daily budget needs to be $20 a day, so then that monthly spend of $600 a month. So recapping, the first biggest mistake that people make and why people don't see results with their Performance Max campaigns is that they start it too early. Make sure you're waiting until you see those 30 conversions in 30 days. And now that brings us to the second reason for why your Performance Max campaign is not performing and giving your business the conversions and sales that it needs. And the second biggest reason is because you've set the incorrect target ROAS or target cost per conversion. And this brings me to one of my biggest frustrations with the Google Ads dashboard and even the support that Google Ads reps give. And it comes down to them giving you the incorrect target ROAS goal or incorrect target cost per conversion goal to set in your Performance Max campaigns. And can I give you a really, really big warning? Do not, out of all of the recommendations that you get from Google, do not just follow along and set the target ROAS or the target CPA that they give you, because this can spell disaster for your campaign. And I've seen it time and time again in different accounts that I've reviewed and from different members of my paid community, where they take on the recommendation, and in some of the extreme cases, we're seeing campaigns go that are giving over 100 conversions with an actual ROAS of above 700%, then reduced to under 10 conversions and that ROAS go to below 300 or 200%. The results can be that drastic. So the biggest thing that I say when it comes to setting a target ROAS is to go slow. It is far better to set your target ROAS too late, to wait, rather than setting it too early. Now, what I want to do right now is we're going to jump into a screen share because I want to show you a perfect example of what I mean right now. Let's go. So what I want to show you here is I'm firstly showing you some longer term data. Then we're going to go to the last 30 days. And what you can see here is that we've got an actual ROAS of just under 1,400. And what you can also look here, if we take this out from here, you can see that we've got some weeks at 950. We've been able to build it up nicely and it's still very much up on a growth trend. Now, we have had a couple of weeks where it's gone higher than the 1,400. You can see here, we had a 1,900 and over 2.5. When we go into the recommendations, you can see here that currently Google is giving us a recommendation of setting that target ROAS at 1,700%. Now, let's go to the last 30 days. We're looking at the last 30 days here. And what you can see is that this once again has gone back down to the 1,400. I'll just expand out a bit of a longer date range for us. And let me change this over to weekly. And that's another thing that I'd recommend. I always heavily recommend to look at longer terms of data and break it down to either a weekly or a monthly time frame, because if you look at the daily, it doesn't really give you as much data. Whereas if you look at weekly, you get a nice clean trend line, which is what I like to see. And what you can see through here, there's two things that I'd be looking at. Is you can see here we're going up, we're going down, we're going up, we're going down, and it's just too volatile. The other thing as well is if you look at the last 30 days, it's at 1,400. And if we were to even go for a longer term period of 90 days, so you can see that ROAS is at 1,500, but Google is giving us the recommendation of 1,700. And the biggest thing with your target ROAS is you don't want to be above what you're actually seeing. So where we'd be looking at is if I go over the last 4 weeks and then once again break it down to weekly, at a bare minimum, I'll be wanting to set this target ROAS probably at around about where we're being here at about 1,200. But given that within the last 4 weeks, because it was leading into Christmas, we had some little dips and dives and then some bigger weeks, I would be holding off, waiting to see another 2 to 4 weeks of data. And if we then got another 2 to 3 weeks of data of it being between 1,300, 1,200, if next week it was then 1,200 again, and then the other week it was somewhere between 1,150 and 1,300, I would be confident then to set my ROAS at 1,200. But you can see here that Google is giving us the recommendation of 1,700, and this is the type of mistake that you make, that if you set it there, what you're going to be doing is limiting your spend and then also seeing worse results. So the strongest encouragement I want to give you is to not just blindly follow the target ROAS recommendation that Google gives you. And what you want to be looking at is you want to be looking at not only the data over 90 days, but what has also been happening over the last 30 days. And also look at that weekly data, and you want to see that stabilization of results. Now, I do know that getting your bidding strategy correct is probably one of the hardest things to do in Google Ads. So what I want to do is I want to give you free access to an extended teaching that I gave inside of my paid Google Ads community. And this is an extended teaching that I ran on bidding strategies, how to review them and how to set them correctly. And I run this for both e-commerce and also service-based campaigns. If you would like to get free access to that extended training, all you need to do is to follow that link in the description below after you've watched this video, of course, because right now what we want to get to is the third and final reason for why your Performance Max campaign is not seeing the results that you need. And this comes down to that you have the incorrect structure of your Performance Max campaign. And what I specifically mean here is that you have your asset groups set around audiences and not products or keywords. And this is a big common mistake that I see a lot of people do, even people who are really experienced with Google Ads. And what you need to remember that with Performance Max, they make it very, very clear that when you set up your asset groups, that the audiences and the data inputs that you give to that asset group are only just a suggestion. Google makes it very clear that it goes beyond those suggestions, so beyond those demographic groups, to find other audiences. So what that means is there is no possible way that you can target specific audience groups with individual asset groups. So don't get caught thinking because you've got an asset group that is targeting a group of audiences, then you have another asset group which is targeting the same products but targeting different audiences. They're not going to be showing to those different audiences. What will happen is that Google will just quickly work out which is the better performing asset group and then throw all the budget into that asset group. What the better way of going about it is to set your asset groups around groups of products and or groups of keywords. And the reason for why that is so important is because remember why Performance Max was created and why it gave us the power for different asset groups is so that we can target different images, videos, and ad copy for those individual groups of products or those different keyword themes. And that's how you make the segmentation between the different asset groups in your Performance Max campaigns. It always comes down to, do you need a different collection of keywords? Do you need a different collection of ad copy, videos, and images in order to better target those products? There still will be some cross promotion between the different asset groups. So while you can suggest different URLs, it's not going to be locked into that actual URL. So what the best way of going about setting up your Performance Max campaign is to follow the structure of your website. So let's now jump into a second screen share so I can show you exactly what I mean about setting up your Performance Max campaign to match the structure of your website. So let me show you two examples of what I mean. The first example is for an e-commerce brand, and then I'll give you an example for a service-based brand. And for this account, what we would do is that we would set different Performance Max campaigns. We've also got some supporting search and shopping campaigns, but for their main product lines of bottoms, tops, swim, and dresses. And what we then have here is that we have a Performance Max campaign for bottoms with asset groups built around these core product categories. So especially leggings, shorts, and joggers and skirts. And then for tops, we have a top campaign, and then we've got it broken down into crop tops and also tees and tanks. And that gives you an example of what I'm talking about, where the Performance Max campaign, so the campaigns follow these main headings and then the asset groups follow these subheadings. Now, if you wanted to, and we have done this before as well, is that if we started off with a campaign which targeted all of these bottoms subcategories, but we saw, say for example, these joggers and leggings were performing better, what we could do is we could break it out and we could have two bottoms campaigns, one targeting the shorts, one targeting the leggings and joggings in different asset groups, and then the other bottoms campaign targeting these other subcategories. And now let me give you an example for a non-e-commerce website. And what we've done with this one is that we've got two Performance Max campaigns, one for our 1-bedroom villas and the second one for the 2-bedroom villas. And the reason why it was done that way is because they're two very clear keyword focuses that we're looking at targeting, and they're also targeting different groups. One is for family groups and one is for more couples. So remember, when you're structuring your Performance Max campaigns, to have your campaigns and your asset groups set around the structure on your website. So once again, thank you for joining me. My name is Aaron Young. I'm from Define Digital Academy, and I'm your 15,000 hour Google Ads master. And remember, if you wanted to get free access to that extra training that I gave within my paid community for how to set and edit your bidding strategies correctly. All you need to do is to go through and follow that link in the description below. Or if you'd like to stay on YouTube and you want to learn how to set up your Performance Max campaigns correctly with the right structure, what I want you to do is I want you to go through and watch this video right here. Once again, thanks for joining me. See you next time.